Here we go. Cheers. Woo, woo, woo. Jared overdid it last night, so he's drinking water.
Yeah.
Is that everything?
I'm going to start by saying this is the Spokane Soccer Show, live from Flat Stick Pub. I am your host, Benji Wade. I'm joined, you probably recognize these folks. They're joining me to serve up only the best vibes. It's Nicole Mullaby, it's Jared Boggio, and it's Fernando Diaz.
Yes.
Nailed it.
I want to start by saying shout out Flat Stick Pub. We are doing something special. This is really, really exciting to be able to tell everybody. But for the year 2024, when I met with the Largent family, Andy and Dan, and asked them about being the presenting sponsor for the Spokane Soccer Show, the idea of trying to generate not just like attention and interest in some local nonprofits, but also they have a program, they call it their Sunday Fundraise. All 10% of their sales on Sundays for all of 2024 are going to go to Feast World Kitchen and the 90+ soccer program. So
wow, I didn't realize
that's
that
really awesome.
Sunday.
enough about that. Enough bureaucracy. Should we talk about actual soccer?
Yeah, let's do it. We've been playing long enough.
God. Okay.
Should we just tell everybody just one word how we felt after the Charlotte match? Is that where we should start?
It's a great question. Let's start with where everybody was. Go around the room.
I like it.
I will go last. Let's work our way from Fernando around. Where were you?
Yeah, I was in the hat trick with a couple friends here.
Yeah. Paint the picture of like what it was like watching that game at Hat Trick.
So it's
Your first official, I'm assuming, Velocity watch party.
No, that was my
at Hat Trick. That is.
that was my second one.
Wait, so you watched the Greenville game?
Yeah.
there?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for me it was like a first time, second time that game, but that place is so cozy, like
Yeah.
it feels like at home basically.
intimate.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like sitting in like a nice chair, and basically have all the bar, like Velocity fans, like even like I don't even know the guys were there, wearing that jerseys and everything, but the vibe there is amazing because you can watch the game, drink beers, and I have a blast the 2 times I were there.
And it was pretty busy.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
busy all the time. Yeah.
Jared, what about you?
I was right next to this guy. Yeah, I was watching next to Fernando here, and yeah.
It was your first Velocity watch party at Hat Trick specifically?
Second one.
So you also watched the Greenville game there?
Yes.
It was the Greenville one, the one where we won it right at the end because that was...
No. That's so the Ballard game.
The Ballard
I forgot
match.
a lot of you went
The Ballard
to
match
the Open Cup game.
was the
Okay.
one. That was our first watch party, the Ballard one. So we've only had 2 at Hat Trick.
Okay.
And yeah, that Ballard one was nuts. But because the ending, I mean, we went crazy.
I'm actually, I was there in Ballard, but I'm actually in Seattle, but I'm genuinely sad that I wasn't there to watch it with
we
you
all
guys.
just exploded right at the end. But
so did I, and I was in enemy territory.
yeah, I mean, we did the same thing at the end of this last one, and then we were severely disappointed very shortly after. But yeah, it was a different, obviously, vibe because of the result. But I love when you're there in a small little environment and everybody is so into the match, like they're living and dying by every kick, and that's a special thing when everybody's. I'm sure it was like that here too, Nicole.
Yeah, it was good. So I was at Flat Stick. If you bribe me with $1 pizza and $1 off beer and a potential of a jersey, I will follow you. What I love though, and I was at the Hat Trick for the first game, which was fantastic. I love the boys. I love what they're doing there. It does feel like a big living room with your friends.
So for the Greenville game or for the Ballard game?
For the Ballard game.
Okay. I think most people went to Brick West for the Greenville
Yes,
game.
yeah, we did Brick West for the Greenbow. And then, but what I love about here and what I appreciate even more was that there were, I think, 3 official places to go see. And I had somebody, when I went to go get a beer, ask me what we were doing. And that you get here. You don't get, I mean, anybody at Hat Trick went to Hat Trick because they were already...
Oh, this is such a good point. So we got a chance to recruit other nerds into watching our dorky activity together.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. So I went to beer and they're like, what's this? And I'm like, how do you not know what this is? Where have you been? Kind of thing. So that was cool.
Is that like our team? I'm hearing them, you guys are like, what's Spokane Velocity? It's a good advertisement.
Yeah. So I appreciated just being in the space, and I love supporting Flat Stick because I feel like they are all in. And if they're all in, I'm all in. So that's kind of my vibe. But yeah, I loved it.
It's funny. The Ballard situation was really funny because everybody remembers that famous scene from Superbad. Fucking calm down, Greg. It's soccer. I scream. This is why whenever I'm recording moments in games, okay, doing the Spokane Soccer Show dating back to when I was following the Gonzaga women's soccer team, if I had my phone and I was using it as a recording device at games, I'm incapable of not losing my mind when something important happens.
100%.
Yeah.
So, for example, the great Marissa Garcia's free kick against Idaho in the first round of the NCAA tournament last fall. I'm freezing cold. I have my camera out, and I decided to record that moment. And of course, I got a better angle than the TV angle. But I also screamed bloody murder, dropped my microphone. So I scream, "Let's fucking go!" And my camera just goes boom. So, and then I was like, "Oh, wait a minute!" And then I was like, followed Marissa as she like runs across the field. So when I went to put together a video for Instagram about that moment, it was a combination of my phone video and the ESPN broadcast because I didn't have the immediate moments after that weren't just like unusable audio.
Right.
I think you should.
Or my camera pointed at the ground.
I love videos like that because,
though.
like, I think that's such a genuine, magical reaction, and like, I mean, you get that in other sports, but like, you don't get that for like every little moment. Oh, maybe there's a home run and you stand up and stuff, but man, when somebody hits a goal, because like when we were playing yesterday, it's so hard to kick a ball. We all look at it and we're like, oh, that kind of looks. He makes it look easy, and then we go out there and do it, and there's.
Yeah.
I don't play. I just play.
Yeah.
It's a job hazard. So in the Ballard game, I had stopped using a proper video camera that I had gotten lots of coverage because it was 90+7 when Roman makes that long throw in.
Yep.
I took my camera out because I had said 10 minutes previously to nobody that cared because I was again in enemy territory, surrounded by Ballard supporters and local media in Seattle market, right? And I was like, I said to this freelancer who lives in Seattle and was writing something for opencup.us, which is on Twitter. And I was like, I think Spokane's going to score a goal. They've been the better team since.
She did. Nicole said it too.
Patrick called it. I'm like, they're going to score now.
Since the substitution of Roman, they were just dominating, especially on the right? Mm-hmm. I take out my phone. I'm getting that moment. And then immediately after Andre cracks it into the top drawer, I again scream, "Let's go!" If you see my video on my Instagram page,
I've seen it.
and then the camera just did like instantaneously. I didn't even get a moment of like to see the ball like trickle down the back of the net and that lovely aesthetics of like a goal that just got scored. No. It just goes straight to the ground.
Yeah.
And then I got a look from that guy who's obviously everybody there supporting Ballard, and I don't blame them.
No.
Ballard team was so good in that game, and I got that look like, fucking calm down, Benji. It's just soccer.
Shout out to the Bridge Keepers. They're keeping the trash talk alive on socials. So we love that. Can
I say something about this?
Sure.
I did not say this on the podcast with Scott when we talked about the Ballard game. I forgot to. It was in my notes and I forgot to get to it. I'm going to say it now. There was some moments though, and I'm going to do a story about that whole experience. So watch out for that. It'll probably be something I'll put up on YouTube because I have some proper video of that whole experience. And there was a moment where I had my video camera and I'm getting coverage of the Bridgekeeper supporters, waving flags, chanting, singing, banging drums. And as I'm standing there and I've got my jacket, my Spokane Soccer Show jacket on, which I wore, I didn't give a shit. I was like, fucking come at me. And I hear, "East Side is a shithole." Yeah, no, that's not what I heard. I heard, "Fuck the East Side. Fuck the East Side. Fuck the East Side." And I'm just sitting there and I just went like this. I acted like the Night King in Game of Thrones. I turned to them all and I went like this. I raised my hands and I just pointed at myself. And then I turned my back and I had the Spokane Soccer Show pointed at them. And then I heard, "Spokane is a shithole." And I was like, that's right. It's my shithole.
Yeah, I love that.
It was great, man.
All the energy, because that's something we've always wanted, right? We've wanted that back and forth with somebody.
And whoever it was that posted, I think it was probably you, Jared, that said this state's not big enough for the two of us.
Yep. It's feeling that way right now.
Loved it. Awesome. It is feeling that way. Now I'm back to like loving all those guys, and I wish we had a couple of their players, honestly.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. So, the game. I'm going to go moment by moment, the big moments. We're going to talk about the 3 goals. We're going to talk about the penalty no call. I'm just going to preview it now, so warm up. First half, I think these two teams played each other pretty even.
Yeah.
Lee Veidman went with the same exact lineup that he played against NOCO. Totally understandable.
Yeah.
Usually coaches are going to do that, right? It's like, this is the team that beat Northern Colorado a week ago.
Yeah.
We're going to run it back out, okay? They played each other to a very, I think, fair draw in the first half. Pretty even split of possession, except Charlotte, by their nature, are a counter-attacking side. Very organized defensively, and they're going to try to punch you in the mouth on the counter.
Yeah.
Well, they got their chance 20 seconds into the second half.
Yeah.
They come out on the front foot, I think, ready to pick their spots and catch Spokane flat-footed. And they didn't even have to absorb any pressure to then counterattack because they just came out and boom, bombed down the left wing. I think, admittedly, Roman gets caught kind of in no man's land. It happens even to the best defenders. Player named Tresor Mbuyu splits the center backs, Ahmed Longmire and Marcelo Lage with a cross. Player named Luis Alvarez, who's Honduran, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're 10. Their central attacking midfielder takes this incredible first touch, first time shot. It's a great shot, but even better save from Carlos Marancio. I think Carlos is just like had one of those moments that we kind of expect from him. He's got these incredible reflexes as a shot stopper, but unfortunately, the ball deflects off of his hands. It's not the type of save where he could have grabbed it. It was definitely something where he was just going to try to punch it away, but it goes right to their right winger, Joel Johnson, for Charlotte, he's there for the rebound. He smacks it. Derek Waldeck sliding across one direction. Carlos Marancio sliding the other. Yeah. It splits them and goes into the goal, and we're down 1-0. And at that point, some of the things that weren't working effectively in the first half, that were the reason behind Spokane failing to score in the first half, start to kind of feel noticeable. So I'm going to stop there. Does anybody have anything that they want to contribute to the first, I'll call it, until we get the goal scored on us?
Well, I think just like in almost every match, whether one team's stronger or another, there's ebbs and flows. It's like a roller coaster every time, especially with Spokane. We tend to start off on the back foot, playing out of the back, and we've gotten better and better every time. But once we get our control, and I felt like we got our control earlier in this match than any other match, where we were able to control the ball, be on their side of the pitch, and of course that plays into their game. They want to counter us, so maybe that was a part of it. But not finishing while we were on the front foot. The
Charlotte team is willing to give up possession.
Yeah, for sure, and I get that, but that means that we know that you have to score. We have to get goals when we are on top of them, because then we are not at risk for their counter. If you have 2 or 3 goals on the board, who cares if they get one? Doesn't matter.
I have notes. Are you proud of me? I did homework.
I'm so proud.
Okay. So there was...
We're only talking the first up until they concede.
Yes. So the first... we scored at the 17th minute, but it didn't count.
Oh, you know what's really funny about that goal? I don't actually know what occurred, because I looked at it and I was like...
Same.
No offside.
We thought it was offside.
It's supposed to be a foul, but I don't know who fouled who. I think they said Ahmed was in the back of a player, I think is what they called.
Yeah, because I watched it again and I was like, I don't know. I still don't know, looking at it.
Whatever the call was, it was fairly soft.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is ironic given some things that happened later in the game. But yeah, continue.
Exactly. And they missed a corner kick. Did you catch that? Like 33rd minute, when we should have gotten a corner and they didn't, and the goalkeeper kicked it out, and we should have had a corner then.
I think if you're talking about the one where Kamarni is dribbling, that actually should have been a penalty.
So
what? Take the mic.
Real quick. Don't you think that it's weird how when there's a bad call and everybody knows it's a bad call, you don't see a replay of it?
That's what I'm saying.
Like what? Why? It happens in other sports too. Joe Buck will be here. Wow, questionable call.
Yeah, if you look at the
and then
highlights,
we'll never see it again.
Yeah.
So if it's a play that I think you're talking about, Nicole, I actually don't understand what happened there, because I thought this was going to be a note late if we got to it, but you brought it up, so let's do it.
Sorry.
There was a second no call on a pen.
Yeah.
And the Velocity players, especially all the attacking players in the area, were definitely chirping the ref, because here's what happens. Kamarni is driving into the box. He's 1v1 with the defender.
Yep.
Defender goes to ground.
Yep.
But just like what happens with Pierre Reedy later in the game, Kamarni gets the touch, It goes over the end line, and you're thinking, and the defender went to ground. He tried to tackle Kamarni, takes out Kamarni. So then you're thinking, oh, well, the defender must have gotten the ball.
Right.
There's only a couple outcomes that could have happened there. Either the defender got the ball and it goes over the end line, and therefore it's a corner.
Right.
Or he didn't get the ball, took out the man, aka Kamarni Smith, and therefore it's a pen. But instead he calls a goal kick, which should have been impossible.
Yes.
Because I looked at the replay several times. It definitely doesn't, it's not off of Kamarni.
Nope.
Yeah.
And the defender, from what I could tell, didn't touch the ball. Kamarni got the touch. He got that little touch that attacking wingers are always going to go for, that little delicate touch that is like, contact's coming. I'm going to put the ball away from the defender so that if he takes me out, I draw a foul.
At least.
And he was in the area, so it should have been a penalty.
Yep.
If I had seen, that's one of those, do I blame the ref for not calling a pen on that? No, but I'm also kind of like, a goal kick should have been an impossibility. So,
yeah. There you go. That's fine.
It was a weird one. Yeah, it's a good shout. This is where things get interesting. Minute 65, Jack Denton, Javier Martin Hill are subbed on for Josh Doling and Andre Lewis. Okay. I think both Josh and Andre did not have great games.
I agree.
Okay. And we will come back to that. But the one thing that happened in that moment that was interesting is, look, dating back to the Tacoma Defiance game that we've all seen, okay? But before that even, they played 2 preseason games against USL championship sides, Phoenix Rising, Sacramento Republic, 2 of the very best championship sides. They played a game against Spokane Shadow. They played a game against the Gonzaga men's team. They only have 1 striker, 1 center forward on the roster, and it's Josh.
Yeah.
He has played a lot of minutes already.
Yep.
Enough that you could say he should be fatigued or whatever. I got to be honest with you, because of the gaps in the time that they've some of these in their schedule, not really. It's still early in the schedule, but he has been the only player in that position, and he plays a kind of a physical brand of soccer. And he did play in the Ballard game until minute, I believe it was 75. So I think he was one of those 75th minute subs. So, or did he finish that game? I don't know. But he's played a lot of minutes, did not have a great first half, and was frustrated.
Visibly.
Andre Lewis did not have a great game either. He was late to a couple balls. He, I think there was a couple moments where Luis Hill in particular was frustrated with the play from the double pivot in terms of trying to work through the thirds and find some central attacking areas through the spine of the Charlotte defense. Luis didn't even have a very good game. I'm going to be honest, it's the worst game he's had since I've seen him play for Velocity. Jack Denton comes on, Javier Martin Hill comes on. Hill plays up top at right wing like he's done a few times recently. Mm-hmm. Jack Denton's a like-for-like swap with Andre. This is where things just get really fascinating. And I don't think people quite realize how good of a game Colin had. So,
your favorite.
Minute 71. I'm going to describe this play and then I'm going to show it to you on my laptop. And the beauty of doing this here at Flat Stick, and we're going to put this on YouTube, is that I will put the clip of what we're looking at together on there. So we'll take a moment after I describe what happens.
Okay. Has an experienced group. It's not going to be an easy feat to come in to American Legion Memorial Stadium and leave victorious. Waldeck heads this down, steps into the box. Waldeck on the edge of the box. Ball's punched away. And in the end, the decision is goal kick.
So minute 71. Pierre Reedy makes an underlapping run, goes inside to join up with Luis Hill. Okay. Underlap, overlap. Fullback plays a ball off the winger. It's a 1-2 pass, wall pass. It's a give and go. It's a whatever. Overlap is they go outside. Underlap is they go inside. And when they go inside, they're specifically trying to drag a fullback out of position.
Okay.
So Pierre Reedy makes an underlapping run, goes inside to join up with Luis Hill, pulls the fullback, a player named Clay Dimmick, with him. And Luis Alvarez, who's a central attacking midfielder, is late to cover for Dimmick. Colin finds Derek, who's has a step on Alvarez. He squares the ball across the box. That was a really dangerous moment. It was just signaling that the attacking play from Velocity was going to be much more dynamic with Kamarni up top.
Love.
So it was 1 minute later on that play that we just looked at, okay? Colin isn't done working Alvarez and Dimmick.
Us and our opportunity to talk with him, having to play through pressure. Right now, Reedy cuts it across. The goal is there for Spokane. The substitute, Javier Martin Heel, knots it up. Reedy, just a beautiful ball right across. And Heel makes it 1-1.
Now, Alvarez killed us in this game. I just want to be really clear on that, okay? But defensively, he and this fullback Dimmick had a couple moments that one of which led to the goal, okay? So Colin fakes a back pass to Marcelo, and he's got Alvarez pressing him, and Alvarez gets a little greedy, and he kind of overcommits, bites on this fake, right? Colin does this like, I don't know what you want to call it, like a baby Cruyff turn, creates space. He's got at least half a second on Alvarez, who bites on the fake. He then finds Pierre Reedy, and this is really, really key. As soon as Javier Martin Hill sees the ball from Colin that's playing Pierre Reedy into space on down that wing, he makes sure, this is why I really like Javier Martin Hill. He's such a smart player. He saw that moment and instantly bombs. He is going to be available at the back post, and he times his run perfectly while also jockeying for space and being very physical with his defender. If you watch that play, he's just like, I'm getting to that back post. And he does get to the back post, bam, he's there. He beats the defender to the space, gets the touch, the decisive touch. It's a goal. By far our best goal of the season in my view.
1,000%.
Yes.
Any thoughts on that goal? Before we,
I think Romain, that first goal at One Spokane, that one where he kind of crossed in, I think that was our best goal.
Was that a goal? We're still arguing that.
I know. Was it a shot or was it a pass? I think that was just.
It was first of all, it was I think people forget about this. It was a fantastic ball from Jack. That found Roman.
Yeah. That was my favorite goal
For
of
the
season.
specialness of it, I would agree. But as far as like team play and just like invention,
I would agree.
Goal not on PK.
What Colin did in that moment, I just think can't be understated. And shout out to Mike Policio, our friend, Spokane Shadow coach, who he and I talked about that moment. And he was one who was also saying to me, like, I don't think people realize how clever that was from Colin. That moment where he gives Marcelo the eye, like, I'm going to back pass to you, and then turns and leaves Alvarez going, wait, what? And that bite actually, and Mike pointed this out, it actually brings that fullback. This guy Dimmick had a couple moments where he's just like caught out of sorts. He was caught out of sorts in the pen, but we'll get to that. So I just really love, I think Colin's play against Charlotte was really, really understated and underrated probably.
He's got more in his bag than I thought.
I know he's your favorite, but your boy.
Colin?
Yes.
I thought Jack Denton.
I'm usually accused of being the Jack Denton
that's true.
stan.
But I will say
I'm an equal opportunist. I think Andre was like my favorite player when I left Ballard. I was like, Andre's now my favorite player.
I feel like every game I find a new player. For me, it was Reedy. I felt like he was always a part of something.
Dude, Reedy's on one right now.
Like you look at something and it's like so and so Reedy, so and so Reedy, so and so, and I'm like, okay, so like he got on my radar this game. That was when I was like, okay, so when I watched it again, I was looking to what he was doing. As
things stand right now, after the first, I'm losing track too, I think it's 5 games, Reedy has been our most important attacking player.
I agree. Yeah, I really like him.
And Camarni's right there. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's been a bit of a surprise too, because when Grayson went down, he looked like he was going to be our guy at left wing. And so with our depth, I was like, man, what are we going to do? And to have Pierre step up and with the effort, like I'm an effort guy. Like I love dudes who put in a shift.
He's a really smart player.
I love it.
The way he was okay. I've got other notes. Keep going.
Well, one of the things that I love, so Reedy, you can see Reedy every single second, in the game, but you don't see Colin what he's doing, Colin, you don't see what he's doing. And then one of the things I love, those long passes that I don't know if they did that in the other games before. I'm not sure, like that opportunity opens, like as you said, like a hill, like going in that position, like, oh wait, I can score from here because I assume he will like do a pass, like all the way to the
I think they've
to the
tried it
center.
before. This is the time it connected.
Yeah.
He's got so many. Colin has so many passes in his bag. There was a play against NOCO. I don't remember if it was Luis Hill or Roman that he fed with a outside of the foot lofted ball that just like down the right wing. And where I was standing and the parapet on that southwest corner, I could see it perfectly, and I just saw the dimension and shape and the bend on the pass, and I was just kind of like, that was an unbelievable pass. I'll find a sub clip of that if maybe for this moment in the podcast, but he's got some tricks, man.
And it surprises me because he's another effort guy, because he does all those little things.
Yeah.
Who, Colin?
Yeah, Colin. And you just don't really notice him until like the 60, 70th minute, and you're like, man, he's had a great match.
And look, I'm just going to be I'm going to level with you all. Jack was a significant improvement in the sixth play over when Andre left. Jack was really good. Quickly reading, pressuring, finding those little pockets of space where it's like, I'm going to help. I'm going to be available. I'm going to find those angles on second balls so that I can. And he had a couple hustle plays. Yep. He had a couple of those link plays through when he goes from being a 6 to an 8 and is suddenly diving into the attacking third. Like he was really, really strong too.
Can I ask you a question?
Yo.
Do you think the gaffer got the lineup wrong to start?
No, definitely not. Okay. No, not you ride the hot hand, and that team is the team that beat NOCO. And those players that I talked about that left, Andre was outstanding against NOCO. Mm-hmm. He did not have his best game here. And he
And
I have a note I'm going to come back to about Andre, but yeah.
The only reason I say that is because I think that a couple players didn't have their best matches, and that's to be expected. Players are not going to have their best match every match. But I love the way he adjusts. I think his adjustments in the second half when he figures out what the other team is doing.
Those subs were exactly the subs that were needed.
So it gives me a lot of hope because and I love that he's starting, to me it seems like we are really playing out of the back to start the match the first 10 or 15 minutes, and we're trying to draw them in and play our style. But then he switches it up because we need to, and maybe we're not used to playing that style together. And I love how we're multiple we are with those switches.
Yes.
You don't expect that from a team who's just going to play out the back, like pass the ball, get the ball, pass the ball. So I love how multiple we are. It gives me a lot of hope that maybe we can start in that 4-4-2 in the future, because I think that's our most effective formation. I think in the second half when
we didn't do a 4-4-2.
Well, not in this match so much, but in the past it seems like if we can play.
The only time we use a 4-4-2 is the second half against Ballard.
Yeah, well, and I liked it a lot because it seemed like if we can have Dolling up there with the 9, and then we have Kamarni who can stretch the field a little bit. Well, but Dolling, when he drops back, I think Manny was talking about this. Yeah. And Luisito, he plays in the same position that Dolling is coming down in. But Luisito can play on the right wing. So why don't we put him on the right wing, and then we play Dolling in the middle, have him come down, and then we can still stretch the pitch with Kamarni over the top, Pierre Reedy on the left. It really doesn't change much because then you still have that box in the midfield with your two pivots. I think it can work. I love the 4-4-2 personally because I don't think that the 4-2-3-1 is the best for the lower leagues. I mean, we're out here with like long throws. This is like League 2, League 1. This is stuff you see on Welcome to Wrexham. I hate the idea that we're going to try and play like a top level Manchester City or Liverpool or something like that. I just don't. We got to play our style.
You're saying so much that I have so many thoughts about.
I was like, you were dying not to talk right now.
No,
sorry to go over everything.
We're gonna. I have notes later to talk specifically about forward play, but let's take this one at a time. Back to the idea of did Coach get the starting 11 right? The only question mark I had coming into this game was going to be probably Pierre Reedy, Josh Dolling, minutes. Like, are we going to be okay as far as like the potential for fatigue? Colin's actually getting to the point where he's played a lot of minutes too. He did come on as a second half sub for the Ballard game, so we got a little rest there. If he had rested Reedy, I don't know if we even have the success we did in that game because Reedy again was our most attacking. He was our most important attacking player.
And who do
in that
we
game
put
as well.
there? Who do we put there if he's not playing? Like, I don't know. I don't even know.
Elijah Amadin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he was the late arrival.
We
and
have
he's kind of an everything
we have
man.
two wing backs in Elijah and Javier Martin Hill who can play fullback or they can play wing back.
I love that.
Or winger.
And we're so multiple. We have so many people who can play multiple positions and play different roles and do different things. Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
The other thing that you brought up that is interesting is I watched some USL Championship games over the weekend.
Ooh, how was that?
And it was like hilarious to me how much more I watched Tampa Bay Rowdies playing, Rhode Island. And I watched San Antonio playing Monterey. And the play in both of those games that I watched was so much more direct, physical, transitional than what I'm even seeing in League One. I think the quality of, I'm not saying the quality of players, but the quality of play and like playing proper football, I'm seeing more of that in the games that I'm watching in League One so far. So I found that really, really interesting. So I'm resistant to the idea that we should just play 4-4-2, direct physical. Like, I don't think that's what Lee's going to do. He wants to play football. He said even in the Ballard game, Ballard played so direct, so physical.
1,000%.
And Lee's like, we want to play football. He said this many times. He wants to put something interesting, entertaining.
Yeah. He absolutely said that.
So the other issue in general, 2 strikers when we only have 1. All right, let's talk about the penalty no call. 90 minutes plus 5 of a stated 8 minutes by the ref.
Another bad ref call.
Charlotte midfielder. Here, give it. I can tell Nicole's got thoughts. You ready? I'm going to cue you up. I'm going to tee you up.
Isaac Shear slides to keep possession, but then he is bullied off the ball from behind by Kermani Smith. Big ball comes over the top. This could be trouble. Pierre Reedy cuts back, takes contact, and there's no call.
I love this play so much. This would have been
Great.
our second best goal of the season in my view,
1000%.
as far as like a team goal.
Yes.
Charlotte midfielder, Isaac Shear. He was a second half sub. He's alone with the ball in the midfield. First, Camarney sees this dude's got no help. No Charlotte player was making themselves available for this kid, Shear. It's sloppy. Camarney sees this, and it's a really smart moment. He applies pressure. Pierre Reedy sees it too.
It's my boy.
And immediately pounces. He's like, wait a minute. They're leaving this boy. Shear's got the ball. He's in the middle of the pitch. So Camarney and Pierre Reedy team up, bully this kid, take the ball. As soon as Camarney gets the ball, Pierre Reedy's already making a run.
Yep.
Yeah.
Camarney secures the ball near the touchline, sends a deep ball to Reedy, who hasn't stopped running. It's beautiful stuff. And then our guy, that fullback, Dimmick from earlier, lost again. He wasn't tracking Pierre. I don't know how. He should have seen this happening in slow motion. Hugh Roberts, their center back, he covers for Dimmick, but he's late. He expects Reedy to go to the end line and square the ball like he did for the first goal. But Reedy gets that all-important touch, just like Camarney did in minute 33 or whatever Nicole was observing earlier.
Yep.
Gets that all-important touch. And as we all know what happens next, Hugh Roberts is sloppy. He trips Reedy. He trips himself. They both fall. How that's a no call in that moment, I will never understand. Lots of chatter on Instagram. I will just tell everybody right now, I am very flattered. Thank you. You have helped make that the most viewed video that I've ever posted to Spokane Soccer Show's Instagram page. It is number 1 by a distance. 27,000 people and counting have seen that video.
That brought everybody together,
my
and I
God.
love it.
Welcome to soccer. Welcome to soccer.
The banter's been wonderful. It's created some great back and forth, but I just want to say, Pierre Reedy, if you had gone,
My boy.
My sadness is that he would have gone 1v1 with the keeper and gotten a chance to bury that ball.
Yep.
And it would have done such a world of good for all things.
All things.
It is the greatest sliding doors moment so far, but I want to set the scene. We're here at Flat Stick when this happens.
Do you hear?
I might have led the chorus of screaming, but the response to the no call was one of utter disbelief and pissed off Spokane Velocity fans.
Yeah.
It was so fascinating because here's the thing though, folks. We got to be really careful here. There's no VAR. They barely have one camera.
Oh my God.
There's
one
no
camera.
VAR in USL's League One.
What is VAR?
And I'm so grateful.
You have to explain to them.
You're right. VAR, video assistant referee.
Thank
It's
you.
where they look at. It's instant replay for soccer.
Yeah.
There is none of that.
Nope.
There's no instant replay.
No going.
You have a center ref.
Yep.
You have your first official, and you have your assistant ref.
That's it.
That's it. They can talk to each other,
Yeah.
and it happens. You'll see them doing it sometimes. They're not talking to VAR, folks. There is no VAR. They're talking to their other assistant referees, linesmen,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I don't know what happened on this play, but the center ref was nowhere near it, and it was late in the game. Maybe he was tired. The linesman, the assistant referee, I watched this replay 50 times, and I specifically looked at the assistant ref. Didn't even seem to run. So Pierre Reedy was way down the pitch
Oh, I didn't even look at that.
before that assistant ref, so I don't think the assistant ref could help.
Oh.
Here's the thing. This is really important. Ahmed Longmire against Richmond first and Ballard second had 2 absolute handballs. Okay? In the box. The Ballard one was worse, but not by much.
No idea what you're talking about.
But if the Ballard,
No clue.
if we think we were upset, anyway, it was one of those karmic justice things because
Shut your mouth.
my nerd circle immediately pointed it out. The great Alex, who runs League One Updater, Alex is amazing. He's a Richmond supporter, so he's like, but actually, as soon as I was like, look at this, you guys, can you believe this? He was like, just saying.
Doesn't matter.
Because
It's my
Richmond fans were
team.
pissed, and I don't blame them.
It's my team. It's what I want to be mad at.
Okay, it's fair. Anyway, any other thoughts on Fernando?
The penalty?
Yeah.
The non-penalty. There ain't no penalty.
So we're just talking about the penalty, or are we talking
Yep.
about the aftermath?
We're talking about the penalty. Anything related to the penalty.
So
And the fact that I don't even, whatever. Alvarez, that strike. Shout out, my guy. Amazing.
I think
An
there's-
amazing finish, dude.
I think there's so much going on that, like you said. The
The
linesman.
great Honduran, Luis Alvarez.
I think if the line judge was on the other side, that gets called. I think if the referee was in a better position, that gets called.
Yeah.
I think if they listen to the entire people there,
Well, the people there were Charlotte fans. They're not gonna.
I
They're
think
not gonna
I-
give
when
that
they're
one up.
quiet, you
That's-
know it's a problem.
It's no, listen. It's bad refereeing.
Yeah, for sure.
You can't. First of all, any idea that you're going to penalize the player for going down in that moment is ridiculous.
He
It's
knows
just
there's no
not-
VAR.
Sorry,
Like-
and I, dude, the whole get off my lawn, grumpy old guy take
Yeah.
of the game is gone. Like, get up and play. Wrong.
That was a foul.
You are imperiling your own opportunities.
1000.
Would that referee be any more likely to give the call because Pierre Reedy staggers? It maybe hurts himself, by the way,
yeah.
because he got taken out.
Yeah.
The defender took himself out, so of course he took Pierre out. It was an absolute foul.
Yeah.
And the way that his leg moved, his trailing leg, unless you're watching your third or fourth game of this sport, I don't see how you don't know that the defender fouled him.
Yeah. And so with the aftermath too, and with their goal, we obviously, our team didn't respond very well to getting hosed. And we expect, I was talking about this with you guys yesterday, we expect when we watch the Premier League and our favorite top level teams, we expect them to respond mentally and get right back into the game after a goal. And
Oh, very much
they
so.
were all standing.
this is when I saw the criticism of our players like that, we have to take a step back a little bit and remind ourselves that these are not Premier League players.
Oh, this is a great hot take moment because I'm going to completely disagree with you.
No,
you're a professional soccer player. You've been playing soccer for most of your adult life.
I get that.
No. You absolutely have to get your head back in the game.
I disagree.
Yeah,
I
you
think
have
You get
to.
paid
And I'll
for it.
guarantee you,
I disagree.
Lee
You get paid for it.
and Renato
No, I'm
and,
sure.
and Vito, they balled
that's-
out that team
I'm sure.
for not getting back and focusing.
Absolutely.
Because they lost a point over it.
Yeah,
Exactly.
for sure. I agree. I absolutely think that's where the coaches have to come down. I think that's their job.
Are you being the nice friend?
I'm being the objective fan here. I'm being the objective fan here.
He's being player
Genuinely.
positive. I love it.
No, genuinely, because
Okay.
we didn't have our captain on the pitch. Luis was off. So, we're relying on our players to be like, oh, let's get back into this. After we just got hosed. Absolutely hosed, because everybody who saw it, we all saw it. We thought we got hosed. All the players on the pitch thought it was unjust. I still think it was unjust.
No matter what, I would agree that players are human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I would have been the worst teammate.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I would have been in the ref's face.
I would have gotten what's worse than a red card? I would have gotten like
banned.
I would have gotten banned because I would have probably done something completely regrettable and instantaneous.
And that's all I'm saying.
I would have laid down.
For them. That's the worst.
Yeah, and that's all I'm saying is that they're human. They're not in the Premier League. I get that they're professionals,
As long
but
as they learn from it. That's all I want.
and that's what it is. This is a lesson.
Have you guys seen
for the rest of
Royal
the year.
Tenenbaums?
Oh yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
Where the bomber sits down on the grass in the tennis tournament. That would have been me. I would have just sat in the grass in the middle of the pitch and just pouted. The bomber. What's the bomber doing?
Okay. Now I want to get a little spicy here. I'm going to call out Charlotte Independence. Are you guys okay? Have you guys gotten out of the hospital yet? All of your players,
Oh my
are they
God.
okay?
Bro.
Is it fine?
That was bad.
Is it okay?
I know. No, on the one hand, I know you're talking about all the like maybe time wasting and stuff like that, but they also had like 4 players go off injured.
Oh, for sure. And they looked like all of them were cramping. And look, I'm more critical of them for being professionals and cramping up the whole match than us responding the way we did.
Yeah.
Like, do some wind sprints, guys.
Yeah, where's the training at? Yeah.
Like, and I want every fan who's listening to this at the next match when Charlotte comes to Spokane,
goes.
when they go down, cheer them. Okay, now if it's clear, if it's a head injury or something, but if somebody's going down for a cramp, we need to jeer them. We need to
cheer them. I thought you said cheer them. I
No,
was like,
cheer them as fans.
Like cheer for them.
Boo them. Boo them.
on.
I'm not about booing people who get real injuries. Those were not real injuries. That was them not being in shape and ready for the match.
There's a couple real ones.
A couple. Let's do a couple performance and stats breakdowns. All right, of this game. It was the same lineup that beat NOCO 1-0. We talked about that. I'd say within 2 minutes, I was seeing some things from forward play that I was like a little uncomfortable with. Josh tracking back really deep behind all 3 of the attacking midfielders.
So deep.
The tempo and the build-up was really slow. Wingers and strikers all playing with back to goal, tracking deep. The other note I have here is like Andre's left foot thing. I've seen enough for now. Service to our center forward, regardless of what we're trying to do tactically, it just needs work. Period. Crosses in particular, I counted at least 5 times in center forward play because I looked closely at Josh's play and Kamarni's play in the last 30 minutes of the game. And there were so many crosses to the back post, well over the head of our center forwards. No matter what, though, our center forward has to stretch the defense and play vertically and give our midfield room to pull the strings. There are spacing issues between Josh and Luis in particular.
Yep.
Josh likes to make these looping runs, often comes deep. We talk about this a lot. Instead of just sometimes splitting defenders and staying central, split those center backs. Get those center backs thinking about you. Play off their shoulder, put an elbow into them, flatten one of them once in a while. But I also just say this. Look, Luis was pretty wasteful with his passing. He only completed 79% of his passes, didn't create any chances. He was only 1 for 7 on accurate crosses. Roman was 1 for 13. Derek was 4 for 11, which is 36%, which is very, very good. Just to give you some context, the Premier League average of completed crosses is 18%. That's the kind of too long didn't read summary version of what's going on with center forward play. I probably don't want to belabor it except for to say, even when playing deep, I like a lot what Kamarni does when he's playing with his back to goal, and here's why. If he's playing deep, the one thing that I can count on Kamarni to also do, drop his shoulder and beat a defender with speed.
Oh, 1,000%.
Josh can't do that.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think that there's a certain way that we want to play, and that's why we play it for 15, 20 minutes, and then we kind of adjust and see how they're playing. I think there's something to be said also that we've never played these teams, and then there's a huge amount of turnover in the league just with players and how they play and how teams attack. Like, this is not the same team. So, like, any film that we have on Charlotte Independence from last year probably doesn't really work.
Totally. And this was, by the way, a very unique tactical difference from other teams that we played so far, too.
Yeah. So
their shape was so well organized defensively. But having said that, They weren't a high press team, but they were really well organized. I wouldn't necessarily call them like a low block team, but they kept their shape. Their geometry was giving us fits.
Charlotte went out there and had a game plan, and they executed it.
Yeah.
And they got the win. And that's what you have to do. And their fans will talk trash to me about, oh, you're just salty. And I'm like, yeah, I am salty.
Yeah.
But they got the win, and they get to go home with that. And so props to them.
By the way, I love what happened. Because when I left here, I actually kind of grinned. This is perverse. I'm a sicko. I'm a sicko.
True. Facts.
I'm a sicko. But what we have experienced so far as supporters, dude, it's fucking rad.
It is.
Yeah.
We got that Richmond game. That was incredible. The Greenville game was incredible because we outplayed Greenville but lost.
Yeah.
I think we outplayed them. I think we were the better team on the day, but they had the better finishing, and that's all that matters, okay?
Yes.
We beat NOCO at home on a really like one of those physically like.
We weren't the better team. I
It
think
was close. I think that NOCO should have felt hard done by. Like
I think when we scored the first goal, we kind of let them come into the game, and that's okay. That's fine. That's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, I don't think we were. The XG went to them.
It actually did.
One. Yeah,
Yep.
it went the other way.
Yep.
So
the non-penalty XG to be clear. Yeah, but we were very physical in that game.
Yep.
And then we have the Ballard game. We absolutely broke the hearts of 2,500 Seattle people that showed up for that game.
Sorry, not sorry.
Dude, we've been the beneficiary of a couple no calls with handballs.
Yes.
Okay? And then we get this game where this
What are
is
you
like
talking
this is
about?
such an injustice
yep.
and made way worse by the dagger
Yes.
Yep.
from Fernando's friend.
It's going to be weird if we beat a team by like 3 goals. We're going to be like,
We won't know what to do with ourselves.
man,
Yeah.
we're not outraged.
So-
We're still perfect at home.
But-
I just like to point that out.
yeah.
Yeah.
By the way,
We're still perfect at home.
This is okay.
Good point.
Okay, good point. And this is why this is weird, but I actually don't get that mad even at a loss like that. So I walked out of here like a sicko, feeling like I had a little grin on my face that we lost that game the way we did. Because I was like, that's how you get fans.
Oh, 1,000%.
You win their hearts.
When we screamed, everybody looked like, what is going on right now?
Yeah. And not only that, but there's something about, I've noticed that people who are into lower league soccer in the United States, especially like USL leagues, but not just USL, NISA, you end up being a fan of all the players and to some degree, even the teams.
Yes.
So I was like, that Alvarez kid, what a tidy finish, man. It's like, I wish we had a finish like that.
Okay, so I realized I was talking to somebody at the game here. I'm used to MLS where you have a player, right? Like
I'm still not
Nico
sure
has
what that
been my
is.
player at MLS forever. And he left and it changes my mindset. We're going to have so much turnover every year.
This gets brought up all the time by the nerds. They're
Like-
telling me like, oh, you think you're a sicko now because you're watching like USL championships,
Yeah.
whatever. He was like, wait until one of yours
Right.
goes to Tampa Bay Rowdies.
Right.
Wait till one of yours goes to the MLS or goes to, which I think is a league,
Yes.
or goes to overseas. Like,
I'm gonna wear
it
all
is-
my stuff next
They're
time.
like, you're gonna feel another layer of magic.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh my God,
Like
look
they-
at Ahmed Longmire. He's
Right?
playing over there. Which he's another one of my favorites.
I think that's gonna be interesting.
Ahmed and Pierre are like the players that I'm just getting to the point where I don't want to take them. I don't want to take them for granted. I also don't want to take Derek Waldeck for granted. Derek,
Same.
shout out.
Yeah.
Dude, you're just so solid. Like every game I can just count on Derek for just doing a job. So I just want to
I
always
think we're
make
gonna
sure.
cry. I think we need to have like a cry fest at the end of every season when we lose players
Lose the
because I
players?
feel like
Yeah.
it's gonna happen.
Yeah? Which will happen, especially in
And
League One.
I think that's all going to be new for us,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah. I'm not
All right, let's wrap a bow on this game.
I never want to be the kind of guy who doesn't get like emotional about a player leaving though. Like I want to be in on this, like all these
Fair.
guys. you
But
know, like-
we'll all feel so stoked to cheer them on.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, it's going to be sad. It's going to be bittersweet when
I
they
also
leave.
time for
But
one team, though.
man, I am rooting for them if they leave here, win all the trophies, win everything. Like,
Totally.
Yeah. And then come back here.
Shout out Marcelo. His distribution was excellent. He completed 92% of his passes. He was 12 for 13, which led the game in long balls. He had 10 passes into the final third, which again was at the top of the charts for players in that game. And he just looked the most comfortable that he's looked yet, to me. There was one shaky moment with him and Carlos. I have this idea. I just want to throw it out there, and then Fernando.
No, what do you think what was the change? Because previous games he didn't
I don't know.
do that.
They're playing together, man. You know
I
what I
think
mean?
that's what it
I
is.
don't even know. I just think I hope it's just reps.
I definitely think that's what it is. I mean, you went to the Tacoma match.
Yeah.
They could barely pass to each other. It
That
was really
said,
rough.
I still have an idea. I just want to pitch it. USL Spokane, Coach Lee Viedman, if you're out there listening, I think you are, because I think you like some of the stuff that we're doing over here at the Spokane Soccer Show.
Love you, Coach.
Love you, Coach. Let's get a tandem bicycle. Do you remember the old Shaq and Hakeem,
Yes.
Yeah.
ad campaign they did for like fucking Burger King or whatever it was, where they were on a tandem bike riding around together, and Hakeem was teaching Shaq like how to like a low post game. We need to get Luis Hill and Josh Doling on a tandem bike through Riverfront Park on Centennial Trail, and we also need to get Marcelo and Carlos. Like, get them a chance to really, really get to know each other and feel comfortable. We created 9 chances. Charlotte created 7. I don't have the XG here, but we were ahead on XG. Q&As? Let's do some Q&As, and then we'll get to the upcoming games. Riley asks, now that we've seen, we're going to do a Q&A section. Riley asks, now that we've seen a handful of games, what's the ceiling for this group in year 1, and what is the floor? You guys go first. And keep it short, just like, I think blah.
Like, where we're going to end up on the table? Is that what he's asking?
Yep. Gotta get you 2 mics.
I think we make playoffs, and we could challenge for the Jägermeister Cup.
I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Top 8 of 12 teams make the playoffs this year. That's
I
new for
absolutely
2024.
think that we are a top
making
8 team.
playoffs.
We are a top 8 team. I think we are. Now, Jägermeister Cup, I definitely think we can compete in, just because it's a cup match, and we are bringing the energy. If we have one at home, we're going to bring the energy. So
I think that a cup would favor a deep squad, and that's what would give me worries there. We do not have a deep squad.
I say 3rd. I'm calling it 3rd. We're going to finish 3rd in the table.
Nice. Okay. And Riley does ask, what's the ceiling and what's the floor? What's the worst you could imagine us finishing?
8th. We're going to make the playoffs.
I actually kind of like that. I think that's a good shout. And actually, 8th would even surprise me, because I just feel good about the core quality of some of our best players.
Yeah.
No, I think I agree with you guys, because the other teams, they don't know the way how we will play. So that's kind of like okay, so we're playing against Velocity. We don't know the way how they're playing. So that will take advantage, it's disadvantage for us too, because we don't know the way how they play.
Yeah.
And obviously playing in their fields, is way different than ours, But for me, it's like I would say like a top 5, and the lowest one I would say like a 8. But it's, I think, based on the last 4 games, I can tell that. But for me, it's kind of like early to say, we'll be top 3 right now. But they're doing well.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that we should think about is our home field advantage, which is different than any other club, because we're gonna probably
It's literally different, except for Richmond gets them out.
Well, what I mean, though, is that everybody has to travel so far to get to us also.
Yeah.
And then we're going to probably pack the house for most of our games and be a force there and affect matches. So I think if we can win most of our home matches, I think the 8th is, I mean, if we were there, I would be surprised because I think we were better than that.
I think I agree with that. I hate to be derivative, but I'm like, 8th and 3rd sounds about right.
Win those away matches.
Our ceiling being 3rd.
Yeah.
3rd might be a little bit high, but because...
I think if it lines up.
But then again, like what's going on with Lexington, which is a whole topic unto itself. They are I was going to say shit show, but I know some Lexington supporters will listen to this podcast. They have not met the expectations yet.
Correct.
Whatever just happened, if you haven't watched, by the way, I encourage anybody who's following our team, watch other games, watch the highlights minimally. What transpired between Lexington and Greenville
I watched the highlights.
was absolutely freaking wild. Okay, let's move on. We're going to talk. We got to move. We got to speed round. Nathan Steele asks thoughts on Josh Doling and what's holding him back from finding success. I think we've kind of covered it. I think there's issues with space. Space to operate. How are you going to work with Luis? If you want to track back like that, do you have the speed to recover? Are you tracking back because you're bored and you want touches? maybe just be okay with staying high,
Yep.
keeping the team vertical,
Yeah.
and not creating spacing issues. And that's all I want to speculate on there is I would rather Josh have a game where he's bored, but he stays up top
Yes.
and he pisses off a couple center backs
Yes.
than tracking back to be a pesky false 9
Yep.
who's then leaving a vacant spot where the 9 should be
Yep.
when play does progress up the pitch on the wing.
If we're going to do that, we need to replace. We need to have people coming down the wings. So
Yep, and those players need to invert and
Yeah.
cut in.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay. Hey, Zephyr had tryouts.
Yep.
Yes.
Let's go. We get to do this all over again.
Yeah.
It's like a kid in a candy store
It's
feeling.
like all year round soccer.
It's oh my
At
God.
home. Come on.
No head coach hiring. There have been questions asked.
Yeah.
I
asked
do know
question.
the club is working with some consultants. Still, only thing I'll say is get the hire right.
What-
And they're
yeah.
clearly taking seriously that hire.
Fair. That's
So
fair.
that's all I know. That's all it's been told to me.
I think they nailed the velocity hire, so I have confidence they'll nail the Zephyr hire.
It's
as
a
well.
really good point. The hires that they've made, let's go.
Yeah.
Okay,
In USL, we trust.
Wednesday, U.S. Open Cup is coming to Spokane, Washington. We are hosting a second round U.S. Open Cup game. If you haven't listened to the podcast I did with my friend Chuck Booth, writer for CBS Sports, we talked about the Open Cup. We talked about the MLS being this weird league that is totally power hungry and greedy, and they decided that they didn't even want to participate in the U.S. Open Cup. Open Cups are really important throughout the world. The most famous example for people who are into the English game is the FA Cup. We get to host one of those as a little plucky USL League One team.
Brand new.
We might get to take down one of these so-called Division One teams someday. We get to host one of those games. We're hosting a NISA team. I don't know anything about that league except for it's always on life support. The team's called LA Force. They're coming here Wednesday. They're going to be here at 7:30. Go buy your tickets. Come show up, show out. Let's all yell and support. I have an update about LA Force, and I don't think we're going to like this. So my pal Dan Creel, Protagonist. Again, if you want to learn about any of this stuff, follow Protagonist Soccer. They produce a series of podcasts. They write lots of articles. Dan Vaughn, Dan Creel, Josh Duder. Josh Duder came here for the opening
The Dude
game
abides.
of Richmond. The League One specific podcast they do is called One League Under the Sea. I was a guest on the one last night. It'll be released soon. But Dan Creel and Josh are the two co-hosts of that. And Dan knows a lot about NISA teams. And so I asked him for an update about LA Force. And this is what he had to say. And it terrified me a little bit.
Oh, boy.
Okay. LA Force sits atop FC Golden State Force Organization. One of the better funded NISA teams, clubs. They've been perennial winners in the league. They're always able to bring in talented players from California and the West Coast. I'll give you a quick sidebar. I went to Wikipedia and looked at this team. And this is where you can kind of sometimes get a sense of the pedigree of players.
Yeah.
Several players on this team have Wikipedia entries.
Oh, no.
You don't want
We're in
that,
trouble.
folks. Yeah. we could be in trouble.
something today.
We could be in trouble. Always able to bring in talented players from California and West Coast. Last year they were adrift, but this year seems to have renewed their focus, and they've built a very deep and talented roster. Watch out for the center backs Bowers and Hogbin. They were one of the top central defensive pairs with the California Strikers. Last season they went to different teams after the Strikers folded. They did pick up some attacking midfielders, Beto Alvarenga and Victor Blanco in the offseason. The latter is only 21 years old, and he's extremely dynamic. And their main striker is probably a player called Joel Quist, who was with Hartford last season, which is where the great Andre Lewis was playing last season. So they were teammates. And that is who is coming to Spokane.
Well, when you said that they had Wikipedia pages, I immediately got worried
See,
because
you know what I'm
I
saying?
know what
I
that
have no idea
means.
what
I
that
know what
When
that
you see the blue highlighted name of a player on a lower league team, you're like, wait, where
it
did he
means
come
they're
from?
famous enough
Yeah.
to have had somebody make them a Wikipedia page
That's right.
somewhere in their career. Well, you can definitely go and make them for our players. That would intimidate.
No,
opposing
admittedly,
fans,
most
but
of our
yeah.
players do.
Oh, do they?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
I haven't checked our.
To be clear,
Yeah.
the vast majority,
Okay.
I think maybe other than like I think maybe like Javier Martin Hill, who's young and just got out of college or whatever.
Oh, so you've been working then? You've been making the Wikipedia pages, Benji.
I wish I could take credit for it, but it's already there. Yeah.
The one thing I want to say about it is that the urgency in the U.S. Open Cup is insane. Like I watched the Tulsa versus Northern Colorado last round, and I think Tulsa lost. They were playing on like a dirt field.
Northern Colorado smashed them.
Yeah, it was like 4-1. And then we played Northern Colorado. That's why I watched that game. The urgency. I mean, there are people in lawn chairs around the side of the pitch at Tulsa. It's like a dirt field. It looked like dirt, and the urgency from the players and from the fans is like next level. You don't get that in league soccer. You just don't.
Yeah. I'll be very curious to see how this LA Force team plays. But that's happening Wednesday, upcoming, 7:30. Get your tickets. We are then at Lexington SC on April 14th. So we have an 11-day break after this U.S. Open Cup game against LA Force.
Oh, yeah.
We have 11 days off, which I am going to breathe a little bit. I encourage everybody to do the same. And I think that's it. That's the podcast. I am going to kill it there because this has gone
up the falls
a little while. Whatever. The great Nicole Mullaby, the great Jared Boggio, the great Fernando Diaz. I thank you all. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody who's a listener and a supporter of the podcast. It's always massively appreciated. I have so many ideas of what I'm going to do with the podcast and Spokane Soccer Show. Rate, review, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. And make sure to follow, as in subscribe to those feeds. Very, very helpful. So is rating and reviewing. Talk to you all next time. Thanks again for listening.
Yep. Up the falls.
Up the falls.